Hi everyone and welcome back to another video with me Shruti. In this video, I'm going to be speaking to you about how to know if somebody who has passed on, a relative of yours or a friend of yours, is trying to communicate with you. So what are some of the signs, and how do you know, even if you are getting the signs, that it really is the real deal, that it's safe? How do you know all of these things? So I'll be speaking about that in this video. So if you'd like to hear that, then keep watching, and please subscribe if you're new here. Hit the bell icon to get notified each time that I make a video. And below this video, check out links that are there to work with me at a personal level. So there's links to my website to work with me personally through Skype. I even have an online course called Open Your Intuition, which has practices like this: how to reach out to people energetically, telepathically, whether it's pets, it's loved ones, and just opening up all of your senses, really, all of your spiritual senses of seeing, of hearing, of just simply knowing, and how they serve you in the everyday. So if you would like to activate those abilities, there's a lot more that's in the course as well. There's lots of creative activities that help you to really ground this after you watch the videos with me, which there's like 1.5 hours of video in the course. But going back to the subject, how do you know if a loved one that has passed on is communicating with you, or they're reaching out to you somehow? So the very first sign is that you have a dream about them and it feels very real. So this is very common because when we're sleeping, we don't have our guards up, and we are more open to information coming in, and we're not judgmental about how it's coming in. We're not using the mind to analyze so much. It simply just comes. So that's why the dream state is a favorite place where people will telepathically communicate with you. So that might be one place, especially if it feels very real. You wake up with a feeling, or this nostalgic feeling, or a feeling of missing them. That's when it's real. So at the end of this, after I give you the tips, I will be telling you one way to know, to 100% confirm whether this communication is real or not. But first, I'm just going to give you some signs mainly. So the second sign that a deceased loved one is communicating with you is if you keep finding an object that is associated with them, and it keeps showing up in your reality even though you're not thinking about it deliberately. It somehow just keeps popping up, perhaps something that belonged to them, or something that they gifted you, or an association you had with them. Perhaps it was something like a relationship you had with a grandparent, and they used to there was a certain activity you would do with them all the time, or something you would speak about all the time, and that thing keeps showing up in your reality again and again, even though it's not usually there. So that can be a big sign as well, that they are trying to communicate with you, or they have a message for you. The third sign is simply when you just miss them out of nowhere. Like, it's been years and years since they passed on. You weren't doing anything emotional or thinking about them. There weren't any particular circumstances even that caused you to necessarily feel a sense of longing or missing them, but it just almost like you're just doing something, and out of nowhere that feeling just comes in, where you miss them, you're thinking about them, and especially when it fills you with either this deep knowing that they are there, or this emotional feeling of connection with them, which might make you cry, or it might make you miss them. But it's like this overwhelming feeling, and it comes out of nowhere. So that is another sign. So these are the three main signs that I would say are the signs that a deceased loved one is trying to communicate with you. Now finally, how do you know that this is real? And how do you know especially that this is healthy as well? Because what happens is that in these realms, in the astral realms, there's different realms that exist. People think that people pass on and that's just it. There's this earth and there's these heavenly realms or whatever, or they think that there's this hell and there's this heaven. That's not really how it is. It's like, you have this earth and there's so many dimensions that exist. So the dimensions that exist right above the earth, the third dimensional level, is the fourth dimension. And even that is divided into like the lower fourth dimension, or the lower astral realms, and the upper astral realms, or the upper fourth dimensional level. And people who pass on generally tend to be within these realms. You know, if they're communicating with you, they'll be doing it through these realms. And energy at this level can present itself in any way. So for example, there can be some energy that is a bit mischievous, and it's trying to present itself a certain way just to communicate with you, or to get you to do certain things, or whatever it might be. So just because you get a visual of your, you know, deceased grandparent or whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is from your grandparent. So the key thing is how you feel about it, how it made you feel. So the signs that you've been getting and the communication that you've been getting is real only if it leaves you with a feeling of release. So if you're feeling a sense of attachment, you know, that, oh my god, I wish they were here, and it makes you sad and it makes you want to cry. Of course you can miss them, and it does make us want to cry. But even when you do that, it feels like a release, like, oh, I let go a little bit more this time. Like perhaps my relative passed on, you know, it's quite fresh in my memory, it was only 1 year ago or something. But each time that longing comes and I cry, or a message from them comes and I cry, then there's a sense of detachment, or non-attachment, in that I still love you, but you're at peace and I know it, and I'm at peace and it's all right. You kind of always just live within me. It should leave you with that feeling, rather than a feeling of why are you not here, and accelerating that feeling, exaggerating that feeling of that person not being here and you not feeling complete without them. If you're feeling a sense of attachment like that, then this is not a healthy connection. Most likely it is not even from a relative that loves you. You know, it can be some other energy. However, most of the time, for most people, that's not the case. It will be something genuine, and you will know because you have this feeling, this warm feeling in your heart. So just make sure again that at the end of it, you feel whatever communication has been done, it makes you feel a sense of release, and like you were able to process their leaving a little bit better, and it leaves you in a better place when it comes to that. So I'll give you an example of what happened with me. Like my grandfather passed on, I think it's been about 1.5 years ago or something, and I wasn't even able to make it to there before they were, you know, taken, because I was living in another state, and then they didn't want to wait for the body, and I left immediately as soon as I heard, in the middle of the night actually, even though I was in a really rural place, and it was kind of unsafe for me to hire a cab and go through the jungle and all of that, you know, in India here. But I did all of that, and I was I'd even reached Delhi, but and I was supposed to reach in like half an hour, but they just needed to take the body for whatever reason, so I didn't even get to see their body. So that feeling within me of that person having passed away, you know, it becomes more solidified, and uh, in your experience when you actually see it happening. But I didn't really get to experience that. This was my grandfather, if I didn't mention already. But basically, I've had visitations from my grandfather in my I won't always say dream state, like it's been in my dream maybe once, and because my intuition is so open that I can get it just like that, you know, like I'm sitting and I get this like I explained, this sensation out of nowhere, just this knowing, which usually fills you up, and you know, you want to cry or whatever. But again, it'll be like a release, and after that you'll feel a sense of non-attachment. So they conveyed to me that they're very proud of me, because when they were still living here, they couldn't see basically my achievements, because people of my grandfather's generation generally tend to judge everything by, you know, what age you are, how much salary you're earning, whether you're married or not, and they want to see you settled, basically, quote unquote, and they think that that's when you'll be happy, because that's what they knew perhaps in their time. But so I always had this feeling that, you know, if because my grandfather would like to see me married and this and that. So when I was seeing someone back then, I really wanted it to happen before they passed on, because they were really old as well. They were in their 90s. And but that didn't happen, because it didn't work out with that person. but basically then they told me that they're very proud of me, and they weren't because I would even trigger everyone, especially the men in my family, through my embodiment and through just not accepting things that were just a part of society, and having the ability to speak my truth and this and that. So I was considered a little bit more difficult. But they sort of said to me that I see now what you have landed at an internal level, because most people can't see it. They might think that I have this wisdom, I've done a little bit in my spiritual work, but they don't know, they don't really understand. Humans don't have this understanding, even those who are on the path, of what the levels are of our enlightenment and coming into that embodiment. So I got those messages just out of nowhere. It wasn't something I was looking for or whatever. So that made me feel really happy, because that was something I felt that he felt in me, that I hadn't achieved fully, everything that perhaps he considered a sense of achievement in a lifetime. So I also got this communication from them that I have even taken a new birth. So it's not just a case of this soul just lingering and wandering, because that also tends to happen. It can happen for years and decades as well in the case of some beings. But that this person has moved on, and perhaps it's through their higher self that they're speaking to me, rather than their ghost or whatever. In contrast, there's other people that I know that passed on prematurely, and I've had visitations from them, and their energy was a little bit more anxious. Again, it was nothing negative in the sense of trying to control me or whatever. These were people that I loved or knew. But again, it was like trying to get a message to someone, or it was a little bit more of an anxious energy. And so I can tell from that they haven't moved on yet. It's not like they have taken birth in like a new incarnation yet. There's still some unfinished business, quote unquote, which is really just a sense of resolve within them. But anyway, I wasn't planning on giving you these two personal examples in the end, but which made the video a little bit longer, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of this video. If you've ever had these signs, if a deceased loved one has tried to communicate with you, and I hope I made you feel safe, that now you know exactly when it is safe. I think most people, when it comes to this, at least they do feel a sense of safety. Because it's usually this overwhelming feeling of love and warmth that they get from their loved one. I'm not really someone who particularly advocates communicating with ghosts or whatever, but sometimes for closure and for integration, humans do go through these experiences. And for example, I never really seek this. I never like sought to speak to these people that have passed on. I never did that. These were just, they happened, like these beings came to me, and again they had very simple messages, so it wasn't like an ongoing communication. It was just something that and pretty much like a few of them said the same thing to me, where they see my light, and they didn't recognize it while they were alive, and this and that. And they were kind of apologizing for, or not really apologizing, but seeing that I see that now, and I'm so proud of it, and I didn't see it before in this fight that I had with you, or this thing that I said to you, or whatever it might be, or just in general. So that felt good. So yeah, I think I will close this video here now. I've given you a few examples. Please let me know in the comments below what experiences you've had with this, what kind of videos you'd like to watch from me. Give me some ideas. And if you'd like to really open up your intuitive senses, then get my course. It's very affordable. It's only $66 right now, and there's a ton of material, 1.5 hours of video, 90 pages of creative exercises. So I don't think you're going to regret it. And check out the details below, and subscribe if you're new here. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video.